What's up, everybody? We just got a new game announced to us, and this is a surprise Zelda game. It was shadow dropped, which Nintendo seems to be doing lately, and it is a Hyrule Warriors game, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. As a Zelda fan and a Breath of the Wild fan, I'm really excited for this one. Before we get too much into talking about that, though, I just wanted to quickly mention something Wario64 said over on Twitter. Super Mario Bros. 35th anniversary website has an online challenge for Super Mario Maker 2, dated for April 2020, indicating that the Mario announcements may have been delayed by 5 months. So Nintendo might honestly be that far behind. Like I had speculated before, I think a lot of this stuff we just got revealed was going to actually be at E3 initially. But knowing the Mario Maker 2 online challenge was supposed to happen back in April, we might be even farther behind than I actually thought. The good news is it's very likely 2021 will be a packed year for Nintendo. If indeed many of the things that would have happened this year have been pushed back until then, they might be piling up on top of whatever was initially planned for 2021, so it could be a really full year. Also, in Smash news, this week we are not missing a Spirit or Tourney event. We have this beautiful fighting and fluttering hair Spirit event, so likely no big Smash reveal this week. My guess for when we will get a Smash reveal, probably at the end of the month, closer to when the Joker and Hero amiibos are coming out. They're being released September 25th in Japan and October 2nd in America, so my guess is the Smash reveal will be either at the end of September or early October. Okay, so let's talk about this new Zelda game we just got announced. It is another Hyrule Warriors game, once again developed by Koei Tecmo, and it will tell the story of what happened 100 years before Breath of the Wild. The whole big war against Calamity Ganon we only saw brief glimpses of in the memories in Breath of the Wild. This is honestly a really cool concept to me, and I was not expecting this to happen, but a Warriors game is the perfect way to tell this story. Link taking down hundreds of enemies in a Warriors game feels fitting for what we saw in the past for Breath of the Wild. Also, I will say one of my issues with the other Hyrule Warriors games was that the storyline was somewhat disconnected from mainline Zelda. I wasn't particularly invested in it, I just liked the characters and settings. However, this time I actually am very invested in this story, as it's the backstory for Breath of the Wild, so I think that will be a much stronger motivator and incentive to really dig into this game for Zelda fans like myself. The most interesting thing to me, though, about this one, since it's taking place 100 years before Breath of the Wild, it fits extremely well for a certain rumor I had heard and covered in my video about rumors for Breath of the Wild 2. What I had heard as a rumor was that Breath of the Wild 2 might involve time traveling, possibly back before Calamity Ganon struck, and involve that era of Hyrule. And now with Age of Calamity, we have a game actually taking place 100 years before Breath of the Wild. So I'm not sure if the rumors I heard about time traveling possibly being part of Breath of the Wild 2 were actually just rumors about this game's existence. Rumors and leaks and stuff are basically a game of telephone, so the information and how exactly the rumor got started and where it's coming from aren't always clear. For instance, it's possible someone might have heard something like, Nintendo wants to explore the age 100 years before Breath of the Wild, or Nintendo wants to push the original champions, and they're going to use them again a lot. Something like that. After a game of telephone with that kind of information, the rumor might have become a rumor for time travel in Breath of the Wild 2, but was really pointing to this game taking place 100 years before Breath of the Wild. I don't know for sure. It's also, of course, completely possible Breath of the Wild 2 will involve time travel. Maybe that rumor is true, and that's why this Warriors game is taking place in the past, to tie in nicely with Breath of the Wild 2. I will add that the champions, of course, will be getting a lot of attention here, so if Breath of the Wild 2 doesn't involve time travel, they probably won't be a major part of that game. So it would be wise for Nintendo to find some way to keep these popular characters relevant in Breath of the Wild 2, since they're pushing them even more, having them be main characters here in Age of Calamity. We will just have to wait and see if Breath of the Wild 2 involves time travel, or if this was entirely where that rumor was coming from. But either way, I think the rumor I had heard about time travel was likely in some way connected to this game, since it does in fact take place in the past. It just makes sense to me that this was likely part of how that rumor was formed, with the possibility this game could be pointing to the era 100 years before Breath of the Wild, possibly also being important to Breath of the Wild 2. Possibly because of time travel. Again, we will just have to wait and see. Luckily, we are getting more news for this game fairly soon on September 26th. Okay, so now let's talk about some interesting stuff we learned about this game, and start speculating Smash, because us Smash speculators like to read into everything. Over on Twitter, Nebellion writes, if you pre-order the digital version of Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, you will receive Lucky Ladle. So that's kinda neat. There were three things in the trailer itself that struck me as being very interesting, so let's go over those. First was this shot of the King of Hyrule and Zelda with Link and someone else kneeling before him. My guess is that this is likely a young Impa. The character looks very Sheikah with the white hair and everything. Honestly, this looks a lot like Peya, but this is taking place far too long ago for it to be her. And since Peya is related to Impa, it would make sense for a young Impa to have her looks. We can also see that she has the wide-brimmed straw hat, which we see an older Impa wearing something similar in Breath of the Wild. Of course, it is possible this could be someone else, Purah, who would actually look more mature in the past, so that might be something interesting that they could explore. But I really think Impa fits the bill better here. A potential young Impa isn't the only interesting new character design that we've spotted here, though. This one is from the art for the game, and it's this little egg-looking guardian guy. I'm thinking this might be a new playable hero character, some kind of reformed or reprogrammed somehow to be like good guardian character. I've also heard people theorizing maybe little guardian companions will replace the fairy companions from Hyrule Warriors Legends. So that's a possibility here as well, customizable guardian companion robots or something. And then the final really interesting thing in this trailer was seeing Breath of the Wild's Princess Zelda actually fighting and kicking ass. It appears she will be the one using the Sheikah Slate, so her attacks seem to involve using those Sheikah Slate abilities. Very cool. So something highly speculated about, and another rumor I had heard actually, was the possibility of playable Zelda in Breath of the Wild 2. The biggest detracting factor was people claiming she doesn't fight, and to do so would go against her characterization. But I have to say, this game seems to suggest that having her fight wouldn't be an issue. Also, using the Sheikah Slate would be perfect for her in Breath of the Wild 2. It seems Link has this new glowing hand mechanic, possibly exploring whatever they had planned with this old concept art. So having Zelda be the one with the Sheikah Slate would work really well, and make switching between the two characters to solve puzzles a potentially very interesting game mechanic. One thing I've been speculating about for a while now, and I actually think it was an idea I was one of the first to put forward as a legitimate scenario we should perhaps anticipate and brace for, is the possibility that if Zelda is playable in Breath of the Wild 2, Nintendo might want to promote and celebrate that idea by having Breath of the Wild Zelda be one of our DLC characters for Smash. I've been saying this for a while. I talked about it in length in my After Min Min video around the 21-minute mark, though I'd brought it up several times before that as well. And I will add, this isn't necessarily something I really want to have happen, but I could see it happening. It feels like a very Nintendo choice in my opinion. A popular character from a relevant game, but not necessarily a character fans are asking for. Sakurai has oddly enough brought up Zelda's design in the last two presentations, and I thought that was a bit odd. Maybe he's trying to warn us a bit and soften the potential backlash from fans for this choice. In the presentation for Byleth, Sakurai specifically pointed out how Breath of the Wild Zelda is not a fighter, and that's why he didn't pick her design for Zelda in Smash. Of course, now we see she can be a fighter, and if she's a fighter again in Breath of the Wild 2, it's a legit possibility she could be a Smash rep. Also, Sakurai seems to rep the Zelda series with multiple Links, and if you count Sheik, multiple Zeldas as well. Supposedly, even Toon Zelda was potentially planned for Brawl, but cut at the last minute. This is sort of like the whole there's too many Fire Emblem reps in Smash. It's a common complaint about the Zelda series that there's just Triforce holders and not the unique side characters added as playable fighters for whatever reason. For instance, we don't have popular characters like Midna or Skull Kid as playable reps, they're just assist trophy characters in Smash. So having Breath of the Wild Zelda show up with a Sheikah Slate moveset, it's just the sort of thing I could see happening. It honestly feels like something Nintendo might do, and could possibly be seen as the controversial or disappointing choice of this pass. I will add, however, that if this character is indeed a young Impa, and if Breath of the Wild 2 involved time travel, and she was also a part of that game, it's possible Impa could be chosen as a Smash DLC rep to promote these newer Zelda games, instead of Breath of the Wild Zelda. Though I think Breath of the Wild Zelda is much more likely than Impa, if for nothing else than the really cool Sheikah Slate moveset that would represent Breath of the Wild very well. Impa was a character I thought was almost a guarantee as an Echo fighter. She's a much more reoccurring Zelda character than Sheik, so I thought it might make sense to give us Impa as a Sheik Echo, but it didn't happen. As for the playable Zelda characters in Smash, just being a bunch of versions of Link, Zelda, and Ganon, it's possible Sakurai only wants to use Zelda characters that reoccur often throughout the series. There are very few characters that do that, but Impa is actually one of those few. Also, speaking of ninja characters and games from Koei Tecmo, on Twitter, Nebellion wrote, Ninja Gaiden Sigma Trilogy, listed by Hong Kong's largest game distributor, coming March 2021 to PS4 and Switch. Includes Ninja Gaiden Sigma, Sigma 2, and Razor's Edge. And over on Twitter, Stealth said, off topic, Koei Tecmo absolutely deserves one of their original characters in Smash Ultimate as one of the final 5 characters. They have proven to be one of Nintendo's best partners. And I totally agree with that. Koei Tecmo is actually already credited in Smash due to Fatal Frames, and honestly, with games like this new Hyrule Warriors game, Koei Tecmo is very close with Nintendo and totally deserves a spot in Smash. Ryo Hayabusa is one of the few missing NES icons not to be playable in Smash, and he's been speculated about ever since DLC was first announced. Hopefully with this Ninja Gaiden collection coming to Switch, and with all this Koei Tecmo stuff happening, Hayabusa might be getting his chance for Smash very soon. So now that we have Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity announced, is this the final first-party Nintendo game for the holiday season and the rest of the year? Over on Twitter, Nate Drake wrote, Nintendo's 2020 output is mostly revealed now, except for Pokemon expansion release and next Smash Bros. Fighter. Super Mario 3D All-Stars and Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity are the big Nintendo titles for this holiday. More third-party stuff still to be announced. And also on Twitter, Inrin Khan wrote, as a heads up, this is probably the last big thing coming from Nintendo this year. There's still announcements in the form of smaller things and maybe another game or two, but they have likely shown their entire 2020 hand at this point. Make peace with that. And that seems likely to me anyway. With 3D World for Switch seemingly pushed back as it's releasing for 2021, this is likely all the major first-party Nintendo titles for the rest of the year. That, of course, doesn't mean the rest of the year will be empty. We will almost certainly have a Smash reveal, more info on Hyrule Warriors and Pikmin 3, Crown Tundra DLC for Pokemon, and probably more partner showcases. So there's still lots of stuff to look forward to. Speaking of Inrin Khan, the day before this new Hyrule Warriors game was revealed, they wrote, Hyrule Warriors was a good video game. Shockingly on topic, don't you think? Something else that may have predicted this game was that the Champion amiibos were getting restocks. We knew about this for a while now, so of course in the end, that restock is almost certainly happening because of this new Hyrule Warriors game. Also, that Twitter user going by the name of HotGirlVideos69, or Tiffany Treadmore, did say this, there is a non-Breath of the Wild 2 Zelda game coming. Stay tuned. And later wrote, the one thing all those 4chan Direct leaks never mentioned is the other Zelda game being worked on, not Breath of the Wild 2. Which of course could have been predicting this game. Also, she wrote, upcoming, new Skylanders Toys to Life game/experience. When asked, Mario Kart finally getting some DLC, or are we talking about a new game, she wrote, something you will like at least. And then there's a quote from Chris Dring that says, so the team behind Mario Kart Live Home Circuit is made by Valan Studios, which was founded by one of the developers that built Skylanders games. It's basically a Mario Kart Toys to Life. So she very well may have predicted the Mario Kart Live Home Circuit as well. If you followed her Twitter, she can be a little spotty with her predictions, but hey, credit where credit's due here. She also recently wrote, Geno is not coming to Smash in 2020. He is going to remain a wooden doll you really want to make out with, I guess. Question mark, question mark. ... or winking face. So obviously poking fun at the obsessed Geno fan base with that making out comment, but the or ... winking face at the end is obviously a bit suspicious, and maybe this is her actually predicting Geno. Sadly, this is sort of one of those odd tweets that's both saying he is and isn't happening, in 2020 anyway, so it's a tough call even if Geno happened, whether or not this would have truly predicted that. I talked a lot about Geno recently, mostly in relation to this Mario-themed Smash event happening somewhat mysteriously later this year, and how that could indicate the next Smash rep could be from the Mario series. Paper Mario took a big hit to his chances with this Origami King Spirit event, as one would assume they'd have saved those spirits for his spirit board if he was headed to Smash. We also had a trademark filed for Mario Sports, and of course Waluigi comes from Mario Tennis, and is often associated with the Mario Sports games. However, after the Mario 35th Anniversary Direct didn't announce a Mario Sports title, and seemingly Nintendo's big games already have been announced for the rest of 2020, if Waluigi was being announced to coincide with some Mario Sports announcement anytime soon, that seems less likely to happen now. So I really do think Geno is in the lead right now for potential Mario reps. However, I will always admit that Geno's body type does fit really well for a deluxe Mii costume, and he has been a Mii in the past, so that is a possibility. We will have to wait and see. Finally, I just wanted to point out a bit more info regarding that Fawful Bowser's Fury theory that I did a video on. So this theory is a bit out there, but it's theorizing that Fawful could possibly be the main antagonist in the plus Bowser's Fury part of Mario 3D World for Switch. I'll just do a quick recap of why this could be. Basically, it's that the word Fury is heavily associated with Fawful. The black spike ball designs of the Bowser's Fury logo look an awful lot like Darkstar, who is heavily associated with Fawful. And the fact the game is being called plus Bowser's Fury instead of like Mario 3D World Deluxe or something. And the plus is really similar to how the Mario and Luigi games, the games that Fawful comes from, have those remastered versions titled with a plus whatever addition to them. So we have that plus showing up here again. Well, to add another piece to this theory, on Discord, Second Place wrote me, "Hey Papa, sorry to bother you, but I noticed another connection after watching your most recent video," and then left 2 images and says, "The eyes." So the first image has Darkstar in it, who again is heavily associated with Fawful, and if you look at his eyes, they are extremely similar to something we saw in the Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury trailer. The second image is of this spiky looking cat temple thing, and the eyes do look extremely similar to Darkstar's eyes in the first image. Now that might just be a typical Mario character way of drawing eyes, but it is really reminiscent of the way Darkstar's eyes look in that first image. Alright guys, well that's everything I wanted to talk about in this video. If you have any thoughts or comments about any of that stuff, leave them below. So once again, thank you guys for all the subscribes, all the likes. It really helps out the channel. So if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do so, or like the video, or leave a comment, whatever you want. Until next time, have a good one.